Hello, welcome everybody to an Amulet stream. We're going to be trying out some more Cultivator Colossus, trying out like a different configuration. I think a lot of people are just getting a little bit too carried away on this card. I think the card is good. I think it's definitely better than what you would think at first sight. Playing 3 or 4 copies though, not so much. I don't think that you're supposed to be doing that kind of stuff. When I tried those numbers, my hands ended up being like crazy clunky and just straight up non-functional. So I think that 2 is a little bit closer to the optimal number. It's even possible that 1 is the optimal number. I am kind of open to any of those possibilities being true. But as far as this list goes, I'm going to be trying out 2 copies in the main deck with a 3rd copy in the sideboard. So we're gonna see how that works out. The split of other spells, I'm playing 3 Asusas, 1 Explore. We could be doing 2 Asusas to Explore or something like that. If you like Explore better than Asusa, go nuts. Personally, I've been super happy playing and having access to multiple copies of Asusa. I think it also kind of just works better with this strategy in particular. Just like being able to deploy your lands quicker seems fairly important when you're trying. Like you just have more threats, right? Like you have more big stuff that you want to play out quicker. And obviously, even though Asusa Explorer smooths out of your draw, Asusa is what allows you to actually get to those 6 and 7 mana in play a lot quicker. So because of that, I'm gonna be using this split. I have to point out though that I would like to have access to 1 more bounce land. So that's going to be something that I'm going to be keeping in mind. 1 extra bounce land, probably in the place of the 2nd Cavernous Souls or the 5th Basic Forest. Probably more the 2nd Cavernous Souls than the 5th Forest. We'll see. But just something to keep in mind as I'm playing through this league, because it's something that I've been thinking about. There's also the possibility that there should be a breeding pool, because what that does is it allows your fetch land to tap for 2 mana if you have double Amulet of Vigor in play. So that's another thing to keep in mind. But yeah, just different options, like different alternatives, stuff that you can try out and see, you know, kind of what you like best more than anything else. The sideboard includes Bojuki Bog and 2 more copies of Cavernous Souls, very important against any counterspell deck, and Bojuki Bog just being an overall fantastic card against a variety of matchups. Tormod's Crypt against the increase in decks like Dredge and other decks where you care about your exile effects being instant speed, be it stuff like Reanimator or things like that. Other than Liberator, again, I'm happy with Liberator over Foundation Breaker, because Liberator does kill Torpor Orb while the other thing doesn't, and Torpor Orb is now better than ever against us. So having a way to pact for an answer to Torpor Orb seems pretty interesting to me, even though it takes 1 more mana to answer a Blood Moon. So that's something to keep in mind as well. 3 copies of Endurance. The more that I play with this card, the better that I think it gets. So you know, this is one of my favorite cards ever printed. Just fantastic cyber card. They're so good against all of the DRC decks and stuff like that. 3 copies of Force of Vigor, because Hammer is still the best deck in the format, and you know, Blood Moon still deads you, you know. 3rd copy Cultivator, not Fulminator, Cultivator Colossus in place. This is going to be the card for our grindy matchups, the Yorion Piles, the blue-white style decks. And finally, copies of Engineered Explosives, because this card is just absolutely great. We're going to be playing this through a league in Magic Online. If you enjoy the content, of course, make sure to hit the like and subscribe button and get ready, because round number 1 is happening right now. All right, welcome to this league. This is very interesting. We go turn 1 Saga, play the Amulet. Turn 2, play Valakut. Turn 3, get Amulet, play Castle. Enters tapped. It taps for 2 mana. We have a green floating, play Asusa. Play Bounce Land, 4 mana. Yeah, this is a turn 3 Titan. If I lead on turn 1 Saga. Thank you, that's just prime, I appreciate it. Yeah, that's one of my favorite bands that I've ever played with. It was insanely fun to play with those guys. Insanely fun. Yeah, in a very convoluted way, this is just a turn 3 Titan, so My opponent probably has some way of interacting with what I'm doing. Oh, never mind, they're playing hammer. Sweet. So we have the turn 3 kill. So as long as we don't die on turn 2, which is very possible, which is very, very possible, we should be good to go. Can I please not be dead on turn 2? I'm dead on turn 2. Yep. That was fun. That was a lot of fun. All right, forces, liberator, explosives. This go, this goes, these go. I think on the play I'd rather have a land than explosives, and on the draw I'm gonna make that switch, so I'm probably gonna cut it to Lurrus West for the 3rd copy of explosives. Probably. It's pretty fun how I did all my math and then my opponent just killed me on turn 2. One of us is really trying harder than the other one is, right? One of us is trying a lot harder than the other person is in order to kill the other one. I guess we keep this. And I know that I can draw an Amulet and get super punished for playing this, but if I don't play this here, then I can't play Dryad on turn 2. And playing Dryad on 2 can be important. Bounce land? Bounce landing might... Super punished, dude. Super punished. Okay, so any bounce land wins. Crumbling Vestige wins. Castle Garenberg wins. Saga wins 2 turns from now. We can pact for Liberator if we wanted to. I'd rather not, but... well, I'm not blocking with the Dryad knowing that my opponent has a hammer in hand, so... We get it there for 4. And if they have double hammer, we lose, but... It's kind of what it is. So we die to double hammer once again. But I can't really afford to block there, right? Because if they have only a single hammer, then I get super blown out. But they can attack with both things. I'm going to block on the Stoneforge, and my opponent's going to shoot up double hammer on the Thopter, so... They have it, they have it. If they don't have it, and we find any land, we will win. Also, Force of Vigor would probably be game-winning, I would assume. I appreciate them tapping main phase. Yeah, okay, this is fine. This is perfectly fine. Oh, I guess that it wasn't lethal. I'm at 22. I gained life with Radiant Fountain. That's sick. All right, awesome. Well, luck there. Take 10. Any land at all? Any land? Oh, that's... we know they have second hammer, and now they're just gonna put 2 hammers on... why am I doing this, damn it? I need to slow down and think about what I'm doing. I think the Belcher League just destroyed my brain. So yeah, so now they just search for the trample land, and they just suit this up, and I die. Well, I'm an idiot. It was a really bad play. Yeah, I had to pact for Liberator, and I had to kill this. Wait, what? I guess they have the thing in hand. Do they have the trample land in hand? Is that what's up? Well, this is very confusing. Block there, block there. If they have hammer number 4 or cranial plating or the trample thing, I die. Okay, yeah, they had the trample thing. Okay, cool. Yeah, the deck just failed to... I mean, we had a lot of good draws there. We had a lot of really good draws there that would have won us the game, and then we lost to drawing a fucking Dryad, but... Alright. Alright. This hand is really sketch. This hand is super sketch, but it has a lot of very good top decks, and it's good against a bunch of decks. So I'm keeping it because I'm playing Modern more than because it's a good hand. But there's many ways that this backfires, right? Many ways that this backfires. CD of Brass. I'm assuming it's Dredge. Perfect draw. Perfect draw at the perfect time. Kind of brutal that we don't have what's his name here. We don't have Breeding Pool. Gracerino blocks Narcomoeba all day. It's pretty lucky. It's pretty lucky. We're not in good shape here. We're not in particularly great shape here. Opponent doesn't even attack with the Narcomoeba, respecting the Gracer. Respecting the Gracer. That sucks. Can I survive? Probably can't with the conflag in the graveyard, right? So I have to draw exactly Castle. And even Castle is not guaranteed to do it. 3, 6, 7, 8. Assuming I'm right now, how crazy is that? It's very crazy. Though knowing the both of us, not that crazy really, if you think about it. It's not really that crazy if you really think about it, you know? Yeah, this is just not fast enough. My hand was just too clunky. Again, Cultivator Colossus just not really a main deck card, you know? It has felt awkward multiple times in the main deck. I'm not too worried about this matchup, though. I mean, it's Dredge after all, so... My MTGO is brutal? What do you mean? I mean, I'm gonna keep this hand, but... if I don't find the bounce land, I'm just gonna die. Amulet confirmed best Amulet. The word best is not one of my favorite words in the context of Amulet. Everything is contextual, you know? And there are going to be metagames where Karn is very, very good, and there are going to be metagames where you want to be colossing some people. It doesn't randomly bring it up like somebody used the last command. Reject nuance, accept absolutism. Sounds smart. Sounds like a very smart thing to do. I mean, if we find the bounce land, we're going to win this game fairly easily. If we don't find the bounce land and we find any land, we can pact for endurance, which should buy us a sizable amount of time. If we don't find a land, I'm going to go cry in that corner over there. But any land does it. Any land just allows me to pay for pact. So bounce land? Can't even pact for endurance. This is like the worst timeline. Far and away the worst timeline. Opponent keeps 2 cards on top. Alright. Grudge my Amulet? Sure. Dan Mowad, thank you for that follow. Appreciate that. Come on, dude. Like, you just have to give me a break, Nick. You can't just keep doing this, you know? Huh. Doing that main instead of upkeep? Don IV, thank you for the follow. I mean, fortunately, my opponent's been spinning their wheels and not doing anything, so at least that's good. Land. Come on, dude. Jeez. This Triad has gotten in there so many times already. Second Grudge. Oh no, all the work that I did. All the work that I did slowly attacking with my stupid Dryad. I'm done. Dude, imagine if I could pact for an endurance, man. Yeah. Bounce land? Oh, thank God. Jeez, I was about to just go crazy there. We're gonna bounce Vestige so that we have 4 and we get to trigger Valakut here. Good thing that my opponent kept the slowest dredge hand that I've ever seen. So if we have been facing the hand that we faced in the previous game, things would have gone a lot worse for us. This is fine. Yeah, I'm gonna submit the deck just like that. All right. I guess I keep this. I mean, I'm not super stoked about it. It's pretty solid at buying time, which is nice. Summoner's Pact. So we're not going to be able to cast Titan next turn unless we find another Amulet. One of the most satisfying things is watching fast players play. I hate slow play. Yeah, not a big fan of slow play either. This is obviously not enough for me to try to crack this Stormlord script. Like, we're doing fine here. If they want to spend their turn flashing back Otherworldly Journey, that will get a thumbs up from me. Ancient Grudge would actually be kind of beating, though. So if I packed for Azusa, I can actually cast her. And pay for pact. So let's do that. We'll lose to Damping Sphere, but that's okay. I'm fine with losing to Damping Sphere. So this I'm not too worried about. We definitely want the second green source, and now the second land. I think I can just play Bojuka Bog here. Just prevent them from getting value. Next turn we can play Titan, but we can't haste. We cannot haste. And I guess they can also interact with my Amulet of Vigor. Oh, they can just kill my Azusa. Okay, that's fine. I mean, I could crack the Crypt there to prevent my opponent from killing the Azusa, but I'd rather not, actually. Because I'd rather, you know, get rid of all that stuff. So Azusa did her job already. Hehehe. Yep, that's a good one. So let's get that Saga in play. Do I care about this? I don't think so. Does this matter? Still doesn't matter. They can find their Silinar Amoeba, and they have a Thug in hand. We win next turn, so my opponent's kind of running out of time here. I think I'm actually going to crack now, because if they find... if they have Grudge, they can actually get me. So now even if they do find Grudge, they need to find Grudge plus land. I mean, it's not even that bad for me. It just means that I don't get to haste my Titan, which doesn't stop me from killing them anyways, right? It just takes longer for me to kill them. But this should be... This is just game over. I don't think my opponent can beat this. I mean, Dredge is just one of Amulet's best matchups, so... Tulare West. I think actually I want to go Growth Chamber, Castle. I could have gotten... I could have gotten T-West plus Blue Source. And then I can just transmute this in my second main phase, but I mean... being able to cast Endurance just locks it up, right? Like I'm 0% to win this, to lose this game. What is the worst matchup? Combo decks that don't interact. Mill specifically is the worst matchup. Mill and stuff like Infect or Belcher. So we actually want them to find something that gives some triggers here. But they find nothing. So now they're going to be able to find Ox. Secret, they don't know this, but it's extremely, extremely lucky that they didn't find anything. The fact that they didn't find an Archemy, they didn't find, what's his name? They didn't find a Crip and Chill is extremely lucky for them. Again, it's not going to matter. Like, we're just in garbage time here because of this Endurance. Even if I didn't have the Endurance, like, they should have... I guess they couldn't come flat, right? Even if I didn't have the Endurance, I think we would have been able to win this game fairly easily here because we're going to get second Amulet, Transmute, play another Titan, attack for lethal, so... Yeah. Again, we didn't need this. This was just, like, nice to have. But, yeah, that's game. See you next round. Okay, a very interesting hand. I don't think it's very good. I think this hand is a trap. I think this hand is a little bit of a trap. I mean, it can grind reasonably well because we can go turn 1 Gracer. I guess we're on the draw, so we have 2 draws out of land. Okay, I convinced myself into keeping this potentially trap hand. But I'm going to play it slow. So I'm going to go turn 1 Gracer, play T-West, turn 2 Saga, play Dryad. Opponent's playing Scales. That's quite good, actually. So, play Gracer. Does that change my line? I think so, because now we can go for Saga here. And speed up the Titan turn by a turn. Speed up the Amulet turn by 1 turn. Ingenious Smith. That's Primeval Titan. So we're gonna use this turn to play Dryad. And we're not gonna play Tulare West because I'm interested in next turn transmuting this Tulare West into a bounce land, and then casting Dryad, and then casting Titan following turn. So they're going to be able to get some construct tokens, but it just doesn't matter. So, Amulet of Vigor. Transmute. Semi-Growth Chamber. Play land. And we're 1 mana short of casting Titan this turn, unfortunately. Because we can play this twice. And we go up to 4 mana, then we can pack for either Gracer or Arsusa, but Gracer or Arsusa is only +1 mana. So it doesn't quite get the job done, unfortunately. We have lethal next turn though, which is nice. Having lethal is good, I think. That Ingenious Myth is buff. That's a buff Ingenious Myth. Pretty ingenious to be that buff, you know? You're also wearing a Titantron? Hell yeah. It's all you, Ash. Gotta keep that Titantron dream alive. Yeah, when I played Scales, like this land, I just lost too many games because I took so much damage from this. But the list that I was playing wasn't playing the Razorverge Thicket. And it wasn't playing Springleaf Drum, which super surprised me, by the way. It kind of feels like every block, yeah. Every deck playing Ursa Saga that's meaning to attack should probably be playing something like that. So this is +1 land. This is 2 lands. Float mana. This is 3 lands. Now we have 4 lands in play. Cast from Evil Titan. We're gonna get Valakut plus Layer Stronghold. And we're gonna deal an unreasonable amount of damage. Completely unreasonable amount of damage. Everyone's playing Amulet this week. I know Farah was learning Amulet. I actually jumped on her stream. Was it this past week? I think it was this past week. I think it was Monday when I was still feeling bad. When I was still feeling sick. And it was a good time. It was a good time. It's cool. It's a cool deck to learn, honestly. But yeah, obviously. And it was, you know what was nice? I feel like most people that watch me play Amulet, they kind of have an idea of what I'm doing. So when I'm going through permutations and I'm going through lines and all that stuff, I feel like I go through all of these things fairly quickly because I know what I'm doing and a large amount of the people that watch me know what I'm doing. But what I was doing with Farah is like I was going into excruciating detail through every single line and like why I was making every single play. And I think that was a lot of fun for me because I hadn't done that stuff in a really long time. I think it was fun for her because she was also learning and like she timed out a bunch, which is something that happens. This hand's fine, by the way, because we can find expedition map for Tolera West, and then that's our avenue towards Titan. But yeah, it's just a good deck to learn, I think. Maybe I'm biased. It's possible that I'm biased. I may be biased, maybe. But I think it's a fun deck to play and it's a fun deck to learn. So, can admit I'm not a pro Amulet player. It's not my thing exactly. And that's perfectly fine. It's perfectly fine. And a lot of people that watch me are not really Amulet players themselves sometimes, but they just, I feel like overall it's just an enjoyable deck, right? Like it's I'm gonna force Pitch Dryad because next turn I can go Azusa into Dryad. It just feels like what am I saying here? I feel like, you know, with all the bounce lands, when you're watching somebody who knows what they're doing, okay? Not, maybe it's not so much fun to watch somebody that's learning unless you're learning as well. But if you're watching somebody who knows what they're doing, I think it's a pretty enjoyable. Like the play patterns are fun. I think like all the hold and tapping thing. It can take a long time if you're new, but if you do it at the speed that I do it, I think it's fairly interesting. Okay, so do we have enough here? So we have 4 land drops, so that's 8 mana, 9, 10, 11, 12, so that's enough. So we just tighten them this turn. I don't know. I may be wrong, but I think that it's a fun deck to watch. Like I enjoy watching other people play Amulet. Even though I just made a pretty silly mistake right now. This is fine. It doesn't matter. Like that was just a misclick because I was talking. I got. Someone respect. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Everything works out. I think I'm gonna play around Path to Exile here. So got there. I think that since the printing of Force of Vigor, it kind of feels like the Scales matchup. Not only is the Scales deck a lot clunkier than it used to be, but also just like the matchup is just so much better for us. Because we used to get rushed before, like back in the day with like Mock Soap Ravager draws, and now those draws, not only do they not happen, but also we have a fantastic tool for those when those draws actually do happen. So anyway. Okay, bad hand. Ship it. Is this hand better? Opponent keeps 7. We can go turn 1 Saga map. It's a pretty good hand against Inquisition. I bottom this. Turn 2 I play that. Turn 3 I'm gonna have 4 mana. Kind of feels like I should not be keeping this hand, but I'm going to. And I think I'm not gonna get full value. I'm gonna try to go to get full value from Saga, because I don't have a 3-drop creature just yet. So, oh, look at that. When you play the card version, what is your counter on Azusa and Explore? I honestly don't know where I'm at right now. So I'm just going to crack this for another Saga, and I'm just going to play the second Saga next turn. My opponent does not have Amulet, which maybe means that I can be okay here. Okay, that's a dead draw. Should Reclaimer Amulet falling off the face of the earth, or is anyone still the radar? I mean, the last time I played Reclaimer Amulet, I 5-0'd, so there's that. I don't really know what that means, but I mean, that's a fact. So I can make a token. I think I just float the mana here. Vesuva. Doesn't really do anything for me, which is kind of unfortunate. Why take Saga over Castle? Oh, I didn't mean to F6. I wanted to make it. I could have made a token and killed this. That was very much a mistake. Very, very much a mistake. Probably not a big mistake, because I'm about to have double Amulet, so I doubt that it's going to be a huge mistake. But maybe it prevents me from lethaling my opponent or something. It could, actually, because now they're going to get to... They're going to get to chump. I can't 20 them. Yikes. $16. Am I about to miss lethal? I think I may be about to miss lethal. Because I have 6 and I didn't make the construct token when I had to. That's pretty brutal, actually. That's super brutal. So... So we're definitely getting Garrison and something else. But I think that something else actually matters. So we Garrison plus that. We Valakut. I'm trying to think if I can, like, Dryad second main or something. I don't think I can. Since I can't... I think I want to make a token of Tulare West. Well, I don't need to take Growth Chamber. I have double Amulet, so I can just make a token off of these double blue. And I think I'm just going to balance the Saga. That's... I mean, I didn't have lethal. That's a very early concession from my opponent. I'll take it, I guess. Okay, this is not what the matchup is about. This is what the matchup is about. This looks good to me. Can you double strike and make them more? They have 2 blockers, right? Tokens are 6/6s. My opponent's at 20. I 16. They block one of them, and they chump. They have 2 blockers, right? I can't 20 them because I couldn't activate Stronghold twice. Your budget video convinced me to just jam my old MTGO Amulet list. Dumb question, but you think I should add Force of Vigors and Endurance for the sites or Sagas first? Sagas first. Definitely Sagas first. Then you can worry about the sideboard. Yeah, okay. Keep this. We have some good mana, we have an Amulet, we have a Force to interact with what my opponent's doing. I like this hand. Dig it, dig it, dig it. Was there a line to Vesuva, the Stronghold for extra activations? The Vesuva was in play. Hence why I couldn't double strike. Nature's Claim has just felt so bad. Yeah. I mean, the difference between Force and Nature's Claim is incredible, right? Like, this card is just really, really messed up. Gonna allow my opponent to make some tokens here. Because we may snug a Dryad for our troubles. Okay. Gonna chill on this, so if they want to force me, they can't really do too much. But next turn I can just hardcast one of these forces if my opponent doesn't do anything, which should be pretty nice. I can get Titaned here, unless my opponent has double Amulet. Okay. Force of Vigor, my Amulet. I mean, that kind of sucks, but... it's not that much that I can do about it. Now the question is, do I want to play around my opponent having a prime time? Because if they go bounce land prime time, I'm going to be in trouble. But if they do have bounce land trouble, that means bounce land Titan, that means that I'm still in trouble next turn. So I think I'd rather just pass the turn, hope that my opponent doesn't have it this turn, and then we can go for it. We can just hard cast the force to make sure that our, like, it just, ugh, yeah, we're gonna get punished, huh? Yeah, we're about to get punished. Yep. All right, they did have it. I think I needed to ensure that I get more value from my cards. I thought that I needed to get more value from my cards. Pretty unfortunate. Not sure why I didn't force when I'm explaining right now. Like, if I wait one more, like, when they attacked last turn, I did not know that my Amulet was going to die. And if my Amulet doesn't die, then what I can do is I can just hard cast the force. When they attacked, I didn't know what I was going to be doing with this force. Like, I don't know what I'm drawing. Like, if I'm drawing a Gracer, I might much rather pitch the Gracer to the force and have access to another Force of Vigor that I can use, as opposed to just giving up both of my forces. I drew a Dryad, so I thought that I could wait one more turn and try to set up a better exchange. But that just wasn't the case. I just couldn't set up a better exchange. So next turn I'm going to be able to, like, Valakut them. They don't have Dryad mana here. They don't have Dryad mana, and I have Fetch Land, which I don't need to crack. So, if we can dodge... No, we can't dodge, right? Transmute, only 5 mana. So I guess we would need to find either Valakut or... if we find Valakut or Vesuva of the top, and my opponent doesn't find an answer to this Dryad, we may be in business. Maybe. Emphasis on maybe. They never expected Wujiki Bog. Got him. Yeah, I do think that if I force them on their upkeep, we're in better shape. But again, like, with the information that I had, which is nothing, and they only had 2 cards in hand, with the information that I had, I thought that I was in a position where I needed to just, like, high roll. Things were going my way. And I think that waiting and hoping that they don't have it would have made it more likely for me. to win. Yeah, that's almost good enough, but not quite. 3 to transmute. That's so close to being good enough. That's so close to being good enough. That is so close to being good enough. It's brutal. I think it's possible I was supposed to bounce the T-West there, but at this point, the only way that I can break serve is if I top deck Amulet, I think. Because if I use the Growth Streamer to bounce this, that means I don't have a bounce land to keep on triggering Valakut, even if I do find another Dryad. So if they have Dryad into Titan, we're obviously like just dead on board. But I think that it's better for me to do this. Why did they do that? I mean, apparently they don't have lethal. That's both of their land drops. Transmute for another pact and pass. Okay, so if I draw a Dryad or a Primeval Titan, we actually win. That's not it. All right. I have been beat. Now we're on the play. I think this is fine. All right, this hand is fantastic. We keep it. So Cultivator Colossus is the truth? Then no. Not necessarily. So currently we are 1 mana away. If we find second Gracer or if we find second Amulet, we have a turn 2 Titan, which is nice. Yep, that's the one. They could have forced, of course, right? They could just have Force of Vigor. Gonna see a force here. Yep. So the only reason, I know it's unlikely that I find Amulet number 3, but the only reason to play this bounce land would be to hardcast a force. So because of that, I think No land's good for me. I think it's better to hold this because if I do find... Okay, so now I did find this, which means that I wouldn't have been able to cast Titan anyways if I wanted to. So we can just do this. And I think I want to play the Gracer as well because it's not really doing anything for me anymore. And now if I find a bounce land... If I find a bounce land, I think I can haste. Castle. I guess that also does it. So the play here is bounce land, and you find the haste land. We have 2 more land drops, so one of the land drops we're gonna bounce and get the stronghold, and then replay the stronghold as our land for turn. T-West and Growth Chamber. And consider my opponent's board state and the fact that they only have 3 cards in hand. I think that we can't lose from here. I mean, I guess that they could have Bounce Land plus Titan as their last 2 cards, and Amulet was the missing piece. All right. All right. Wait, what? How do they have 0 cards in hand? I thought they had 2. They have 3? Weird. All right, we got there. Sweet, awesome. I appreciate my opponent pacting for the Azusa and then immediately destroying it. Like, that's pretty... that's a nice line. That's a nice line. A nice concession line. All right, see you next round. All right. Playing against the Lurrus deck. It's nice that with this hand we're on the draw. So I think I'm going to keep... Because the fact that we're on the draw means that we can choose how we're gonna sequence, right? Like if we're playing against Hammer, for example, if my opponent goes turn 1 Plains, I'm gonna go turn 1 Ursa Saga. If they go like Monke or something like that, I can go turn 2 turn 1 Castle, and that allows you to explore on 2. 1% possibilities, 99% faith. That's exactly what I want to see. Doubter, you. All right, so it is a Lurrus deck. So that's actually not the worst draw because that means that I can lead on Saga and I can still explore on turn 2, which is great. Explore is fantastic in this hand. Explore is absolutely fantastic in this hand, so love to see it. Monke. I think that this is a mistake. My opponent should have cast Monke on turn 1 instead of Darcy, because now their mana is gonna be stuck on the Monke, so the Monkey is not really netting them mana. You see, like right now, my opponent is gonna start next turn still with 2 mana, and they're not gonna be able to they can't ramp into a Torak or something like that, which would be like the best possible thing that they could do. Yeah, it's possible that they just drew it, but then, like, where did this bubble come from, right? Like, this was their draw step. The bubble was their draw step, because otherwise they would have gone turn 1 Darcy into bubble, right? Well, this is super interesting. Because we play that out. And now if we find... I guess if we find a green bounce land, we win anyway. Yeah, I think I'd rather go with Saga. Just playing it and discard was better. Yeah, I agree with that too. That was also the better play as well. I agree with that for sure. I think that a lot of people just dash Monkey way more than they should. Particularly after you know that I'm playing Amulet, I feel like the dashed Monkey just doesn't do anything, right? Like, you're just not really getting value. Like, you want to play your threats and then use your mana, but now if you're committed to dashing the Monkey, exactly, now my opponent, if they want to hold on the lock, they can't do it. If last turn they had put Monkey plus discard as opposed to what they did, they would be in so much better shape now. They would be attacking me with DRC and Monkey, and they would have access to 4 mana this turn. So I think that my opponent, like, dashing the Monkey was just a really bad play. So I'm just gonna make a construct here, I think. Drown doesn't hit much. Well, I mean, but look at this. Like, this construct actually baited out a heat that could have killed my Titan. Like, that's a fantastic deal for me. So if we find a bounce land, we super win. If we find the bounce land, we super win. And if they tap out, we also. Wouldn't forest this turn be better? No, because this is going to enter. If I play the forest, then this is going to enter untapped anyway. Maybe Radiant Fountain. There was an argument for playing Radiant Fountain there, but then I don't have. No, actually, Radiant Fountain would have been the better play, because then I could get. I was thinking that I want to get Expedition Map with this. Yeah, you see, like that dashed Monkey is gonna lose my opponent the game. The dashed Monkey is just gonna lose my opponent the game. Oh my god, that's like the worst possible draw. We may still be fine. But that's really funny how that was the worst possible card that we could have drawn there. So now we have to pact for Asusa. Play Asusa. Play land. Play this. Do. This is still fine. Asusa is so good, man. Bodos, Sua, copy that. Float mana, haste you, bounce this, combat, attack, triggers. Opponent has seen enough. So we don't know whether my opponent's playing Shadows or not. Hey Luke, Stronghold being better than Battlements? Hey! Imagine that. Imagine Stronghold being better than Battlements. Unclear whether we're playing against Shadow or not. Also unclear whether we're playing against Surgical or not. I'm gonna cut 2 lands. Just 1 forest and I guess the castle. Definitely not sure on the castle cut for sure. We keep Colossus in the deck even knowing they play Dress Down. I mean, Dress Down is going to be fantastic against me regardless, right? Keep this hand. Pretty solid hand, actually. The best draw would be Basic Forest or Fetch Land. No. I don't think EE is worth it. That's what my opponent wants me to do. To just like try to interact with what they're doing. Green source. Basic forest. Expedition map. Brutal. But I don't know. Again, I'm trying to play around surgical extraction or something like that. Maw Titan. That's 2 Titans gone. Fuck. What's the lowest land count you're willing to go down to nowadays? 30. I think 30 is like the lowest that I'll go when I'm on the draw. On the play, going down to 30 is even sketchier, honestly. They take my Azusa. Interesting. I think we're mapping for Cavern. Good old Cavern on Beast. Good old Cavern on Beast. Please don't exile another Titan Monkey. I mean, look at how much better this Monkey is than the one that my opponent played last game, right? Look at how massive of a difference this is. It's pretty insane, right? Look at how much mana this Monkey is generating. Like how, like I'm kind of forced into doing stuff into my opponents. Like it's such a massive difference. I think we're going for Bog here. So my opponent can't Aether Gust, dude. Yeah, I'm gonna put that on top. You can draw it if you want. Meme tier question, but is there any consideration to boarding out the sagas against Blood Moon deck, or is that not even worth considering because the matchup probably really will anyways? No, I definitely cut sagas against Blood Moon decks for sure. Even if they don't have counter magic, I bring in Cavern of Souls because they can tap for mana. I do this against Murktide. I do this against Rhinos, particularly Rhinos because Rhinos has both Blood Moon and Force. So yeah, far from a meme tier question. Far from a meme tier question. So next turn we're gonna have Vesuva the Cavern, I think. Okay, so opponent not playing Shadow. Yeah, people are back to playing some Gustos now, which is honestly not that big of a deal. Like Aether Gust is very good. Obviously, it's like a solid tempo play, but it's not that insane if you're not looping it every turn with Mystic Sanctuary, right? I think we're about to get K commanded here. Nice, Ash. We're set up for that one. Probably not going to have enough time, however. I think I'm going to have to bounce Radiant Fountain. I may need to buy myself a little extra time. Interesting that they shocked. That they didn't shock, right? Because the shock actually takes a turn off the clock. My Grazer. Actually, Grazer would have been pretty sick. Not gonna lie. Would have been pretty good for me. Like you could, you know that you could have just played that land opponent, right? All right. We lose to Bolt. We lose to second K command. It's fine. I don't think I can afford to play the Fountain there because then I'm top decking a land and. Although I guess I'm dead anyways. All my Gracers are gone. Give me back my Gracers, opponent. They're flexing. Kind of. Show me second Aether Gust, I guess. Show me the Gusto. Get this and get Saga? Yeah, right. There's an argument there for getting Cavern on Elemental, but that shows my point that I have Endurance. Like I haven't shown it to them, so there's no need for me to. Can we Vesuva the Fountain? Vesuva is right here. Well, I guess they know about the Endurance now. Am I dead now? Draw the lock. Yeah. Okay. I think I'm good with this. I'm good with this. There's an argument for cutting Vestige for Cavern, for a basic, or for a castle. I guess. I may get punished for that, but I think that I need to keep my green source count high. And Carmel Vestige is a green source on 1, but then things get awkward after that. So I think this is fine. All right, this hand is fantastic. And I really want to believe that this is the forest that I brought in right now, you know. I think the cut impact is not the worst. Like you have enough threats, and all it takes is one threat for you to resolve to then just take over the game. So Gracer OP. The fact that it sets up your Asusa is just so good. I love that. And this is turn 3. This is turn 3 Titan, right? They take Asusa. That's a good draw. That's a pretty solid draw. Do you have the drown? Because you kind of have to have it. I mean, they probably can't answer the Dryad, right? Not for 2 mana and with me having only 1 card in my graveyard. So they probably have to represent a drown for the remainder of the game. Can we top deck a natural primetime here? Because that would be very sexy. That's a pretty good draw. Oh, they're gonna gust the Dryad. I think that's what's incoming here. Make sure that we get our guaranteed value from the Dryad, right? We have this forest to pitch the Callingus command, which is nice. If they tap out, I think I'm backing. They could have Snapcaster Mage. I could also just, you know, Pact for Endurance and fuck it. That's a Darcy. Got it. So any land just lets me kill the Darcy. I love this deck. I love this deck so much. So there goes that one. Tuya. Just completely blanking their drowning the lock. Completely blanking their drowning the lock. You want a shock? How brave are you really, opponent? Ah, okay. You're not that brave, huh? And if they attempt to, like... That's a chump blocker, that's funny. I guess it's not a chump blocker. I'm actually going to shoot it. And the reason for shooting it as opposed to attacking is because that makes my opponent's bolts better. If they put 2 damage on the Dryad, they can actually just kill the Dryad with an Unholy Heat or something like that. So I'm like, my opponent has a 5-card hand and every single card is a blank right now. None of their cards do anything whatsoever. Pacting for Endurance here. Yep. So, yeah, that actually felt pretty nice. You know, just... Obviously, our hand just lined up perfectly against theirs, but I think that by not playing into their hand, we were able to just put my opponent in such an awkward spot. And we were obviously able to get the W from there because, you know, their cards just didn't do anything and ours killed them. So, good stuff. Good stuff. I think this deck list is fine. Honestly, I'm still not sold on this card, man. Like, it's good. Like, obviously it's doing something powerful and it's doing something that it's interesting to do, and it can, you know, do a lot of stuff in the same turn, and it's nice and flashy, but I'm not sold that we wouldn't be better off by just like cutting all of this and just, you know, playing some cards instead. Like I'm not sold on that not being a good plan, if that makes sense. But yeah, Cultivator goes like way over the top of the decks that that you want it against. The problem is like we played the 2 leagues today, and we played against those decks 0 times, right? So maybe it's like a metagame kind of thing. Maybe like you don't want to be playing this version in leagues, and you want to be playing this version in challenges, where decks like 4-color Omnath and the 4-color Yorion piles are a lot more popular, and because they're like expensive, right? Like that's the issue with the 4-color and the Yorion piles. They're super expensive, so a lot of people simply cannot rent those decks. Because of that, the decks are less popular during the week where people are playing leagues, and maybe they don't have the means to get that to get those cards. But the people that play during the weekend challenges are the ones that actually have money and are more competitive, so they're not you know, too opposed to playing decks like that, particularly when those decks are good. But yeah, it's just very possible that this is just like a metagame, a showcase or challenge weekend metagame deck list, as opposed to this being like a league deck list that you want to play. And maybe you're better off playing a card list during the week, and then you can play the Colossus deck list during the weekend in the challenge event. So something to consider and to think about, particularly when you're trying to prepare for those sort of events, right? But cool stuff. Amulet is still Amulet. I think it's fairly good right now in the metagame, and I think that if you have the reps and you can make it work, is a very good deck. Biting Needle is interesting. There has been sort of an uptick in Yawgmoth. The card is pretty medium though. Otherwise, like, it's not the most fantastic card. Like, I guess it's fine against Belcher, but like Belcher is kind of unwinnable anyway. I'm just not super sold on the 3rd copy of Explosives. Like, the 3rd copy of Explosives is good against specifically Rhinos and kind of nothing else, because even against Hammer, you just have way too many sideboard cards. Like, in my sideboard plan against Hammer with this deck list specifically, I am sometimes not even bringing in the extra explosives because they're just clunky, and I don't want to blow up my own amulets, and I just have so many good sideboard cards already that I just don't want to overload on them. So I'd rather make sure that I can still kill my opponent and have my cards do their thing, you know? So maybe the 3rd explosives can go, but yeah, maybe the 4th cavern can go. Like, you can tilt this deck list a variety of different ways, and you know, we can make changes accordingly. That's gonna be it for this league though. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button if you did enjoy the content, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, folks. Bye bye.